Hey, Wayne Herring, Business Builder Camp. I'm at the Farm Supply Used Equipment Center today, and I'd like to introduce a podcast episode with a guy named Dan Pincus. Dan is the founder of World Golf Network. And what happened was he and I were just having a catch-up conversation. We met on LinkedIn, and as he started to tell his story, I was like, dang, Dan, this is so good. I'd love to share this with people and turn it into a podcast. Would you be willing to do that? And he said yes. And you're going to hear how somebody took a dream and something that was a hobby and felt right, and a way that he went out and did a little bit of networking with a few of his clients and was like, I'd like to do more of this. And he has. And he also tells about how he has found the right business for him. And it's funny about a farm store, because sometimes in agriculture we think about what's the right size of the farm, how to right size things. And so give it a listen. I think you're going to love this episode with Dan Pincus.
Welcome to the Business Builder Way podcast, where we help business builders grow leadership skills and wisdom and stay grounded through hero stories. So let's get after it.
Selfishly, I can't help but want to ask, how did you build this?
Well, I came up with this idea around 9/11, which is like, what, 2001, that's 23 years ago, right?
Almost.
That's when I came up with the idea of this. One of my major clients was in the Wall Street area down in New York City. And I would commute into the city on a regular basis with this client. And I realized, listen, life is short. It's, you have no idea how long it's going to be for you and what the future holds.
Yeah.
And I said to myself, I want to spend the rest of my life doing something I really love doing. And I actually love entertaining people. To me, when I entertain people who I like, I just have a great time. I feel like they're having a good time, I'm having a good time, and I'm only hanging out with people I like. So that's what life's all about, right? So I said, business is done through relationships. Everyone knows this, but very few people know how to actually take advantage of that. Because if you look at all the advertising for businesses, they all say, we're the relationship people, we care about you, but they don't actually truly care about you and they do anything, they just say it, right?
Right.
And I said, as an owner of a company or even as a salesperson, your job is to actually build relationships with people so they trust you and they want to work with you, right? So I said, wouldn't it be great to create an environment where people are not there to sell, they're there just to build relationships. And people will naturally, if you have the right people in the room, will find that they need each other and they can work together. And why not work with people they like and trust? And I said, golf was such a great way to build a relationship so quickly. So I said, everyone even says the old saying is there's more business done on the golf course than in the boardroom. Yeah. Why has no one organized all the golfers so they can play with people who are good for their businesses?
Yeah.
So I said, I'll do that. And then it morphed into social, just the, cat eating and drinking, because a lot of people said to me, Dan, I would love to get in front of those people, but I don't play golf. And I was like, you know what? There's got to be a way I can help those people as well. And I said, you know what? Let's create different levels of membership. People can come based on what they want to do. They pay based on what they're getting. We don't actually nickel and dime them. It's all inclusive. If they're a social member, they don't pay for dinners and cocktails. Mm-hmm. If they're a golfer, they don't pay for their golf. So we try to make it so that it's not like, oh, I got to pay, now I pay this fee, now I got to pay this fee, and I got to pay that fee. This is my membership. Everything's included pretty much. And it's literally, this is my budget. If I can't afford it, it shouldn't be in the group.
Right.
And my theory was that if I don't like the people, I don't care how much money I'm making, because I didn't do this for money. I did this because I just like to do this. And I originally did it as a way to grow my marketing. I used to have my own marketing firm. Okay. And I originally did this actually to build my marketing firm, because I said, oh, I'm going to know all these people. They're going to want to use me for their marketing services. And then I said to myself, why am I doing the marketing? I can just make this the business. Mm-hmm. So I just built this out, and I really don't charge a lot of money relative to what my expenses and costs are, but I make enough to make it worth my while to run it. That's pretty much it. My feeling is that I don't want to sit there and negotiate with people on pricing. Like, if you can't afford it, I'm really charging just a small fee above what it cost me. And if it's not worth it to you, it's not worth it to me. So don't join.
Do you still have a marketing firm, or?
No, I guess I haven't done that in many years. It's like
what you do.
Yeah, this is all I do is literally I play golf and I eat and drink with people. I make introductions. That's all I do for a living.
So you had that idea around 9/11, and then what was like the first golf outing that you did? Was it?
So how I started was I had my marketing firm back then. I actually took all my clients out for golf. And I said, I'm paying for all your golf. You're my guest. And I want you to bring one of your clients out as well as my guest. And I didn't pay for food. It was just golf. And I played on public golf courses that were cheap courses. It was like $50 for these courses I was playing on. And I would have about 20 or 30 people coming out to play golf between my clients and their guests. And people started calling me saying, hey, I heard you have Toys R Us or XYZ company. Can I come out and join you guys? Michael, I'm not going to pay for you, but if you want to pay your own way, you can join us. And then another person called me. I said, maybe I should make this more of a business networking type thing where people can come in and actually pay a small fee. So I started up by charging $75 a year to be a member of my group. And you just paid cost on the courses then as a member.
Okay, got it.
And it was so much work because I didn't know who was coming, who wasn't coming, how to call all these people. I was like, this is totally not worth all my time and effort to do this. And so I realized after basically about 2 years, I said, I got to change this into a different model. So I said, I'm going to make this an all-inclusive program. You pay an annual membership. If you don't come, I don't care. At least I got your expenses covered. I don't have to worry about, filling the room and making sure I have enough people and this and that. And I said, if you can't go, send another partner of your firm out or a client out. It's fine, but your spot is covered basically.
Sure.
And by doing that, I didn't have to stress over having that minimum number of people and figuring out what am I doing. And I was doing it at semi-private clubs when I went to that level. And then people said to me, these are great, but you know what? It's not special. I can go to these clubs myself. I don't need you for this. Why don't you go to private country clubs where people don't have access to these kind of places? And I was like, well, that's going to cost a whole lot more money. And they said, well, I don't care. I mean, that's what makes it viable that I can pay my clients these kind of places that no one can get into. So I said, okay. So the prices kept going higher and higher over the years. And I mean, now a premium golf membership is $1,100 a month year round. That's like 13 grand a year. So I started this thing at $75 a year. So it's like insane how it evolved over the years.
And do you now have a small team of people that help you with all the details and organizing it?
No, I do this in my sleep, Wayne. It's so easy. I know everyone in the room. I know who they want to meet. All I have to do is just say, listen, Wayne, I know you got to meet George, or George, you're going to meet Mary. And I said, come on over here. You guys got to talk to each other. And they're like, how did you know we were going to, I know your personalities. I know who you need to meet. You guys need to talk to each other. So it's just literally just, if you know the people, there's no work. It's just a matter of just doing it. Sure. And the other side of it also is that because I picked such amazing places, these people take care of our people like they're all kings and queens. It's like, it's Mr. Herring, please, thank you for coming here. Is there anything we can do for you? We'll take your golf clubs, we'll put them into the golf cart. And then I have an assistant who will help me at the events, who will register the people and point them in the direction they need to go to where they're going. And my job is just to be there and hang out and have a good time.
Yeah, that's so great.
So my theory has always been, as soon as I'm not having a good time, Wayne, I'm done with this thing. As soon as there's a struggle or stress, that's why I always tell people, even though it's an annual membership, we don't basically want you to join for a month or two. If you act like a jerk, you're out of the group. So that's the loophole, which gets anyone out. If they want to be a jerk, you're out of the group.
Yeah. Are you trying to grow it, or is it just, if it does, it does, and it's fine? And
yeah, I have a solid group of people. Like I said, we have about 40 solid companies in the group. I always like to bring in more people because the bigger it gets, the more valuable it is for everyone in the room. But I don't want to grow it too much, but I would like to grow to probably double the size it is now. That would be amazing. And I actually originally wanted to make this thing like a worldwide program and have chapters all around the world, and you could travel wherever you wanted to do business and play golf at different country clubs. But like I said, I've been doing it for so long at this point that do I really want all that headache of having to worry about all of the logistics and the work and the personalities and there's a lot to do as you grow a business. And there's an old saying, be careful what you wish for. I'm sure you're familiar with that saying. Sure. And at this point in my life, you know what? If it comes easily, I'll do it. If it doesn't come easily, I don't really care.
Yeah. If somebody wants to join your golf network in Northern New Jersey, how would they could connect with you, Dan, through LinkedIn, which is what I've done, but what's the website for your company where they could get more info?
It's worldgolfnetwork.com. Again, my email is dpincus@worldgolfnetwork.com. And literally, when someone wants to get involved, my goal is to make sure that it's worth their while as much as it's worth my while. Again, I don't want them joining and meeting people who are not relevant for them, because otherwise, why'd they join, right? I never understood why people who run groups say, oh, as long as you don't compete with someone else, we don't care what you do, come on in. Like, well, don't you care about what they do? So do you know that you can introduce them to people who are relevant for them? I'm like, no. Someone will maybe eventually know someone. Like, well, isn't time worth something for people? I never understood how people don't value their time. I always tell people you can always get your money back. You can't get your time back.
Yeah, right.
So you should value the time that you're spending in when you're even picking any networking group. you should find out, first of all, who runs the group. Do I trust the person running it? Because if they're not the people I trust, then how I know I'm not going to get value out of that group. And then who are the people in the group that are going to be relevant for me to network with, right? And do I like the people? So I don't even let people join until they actually come as a guest once, because they have to get to know the people, make sure that this is a group of people I actually want to get to know better and build a relationship with.
That's great. So golf, or if you just like hanging out at a golf club and having dinner.
Well, yeah, it's more than that though. You literally are like an oasis. Okay, so imagine this. How we do it is, there's two sides of our program. One side is the group events, and the other side is private. So the group events, you come at 2 p.m. if you're a golfer. You basically throw your stuff into a locker for later. You hit some balls before you practice, make sure you're feeling, loosen yourself up. And then half an hour later, you go onto the golf carts, we make announcements, and you go off onto different golf holes and play 9 holes of golf. You come back, you use the showers, you change into nicer clothes, and we have a cocktail hour, and then you have a sit-down dinner. We put people in tables of 8. So you're getting to know people, not in a huge chain, everybody, and you're building a relationship with those people. And then we move you around. So every month you're meeting with different people, both on the golf carts as well as at dinners.
Sure.
And then if you're on the private meetings, we're bringing that one person for you, and you're bringing someone who might be good for the group. And we know that person, you know that person. So I'm going to be playing, if we're playing golf, I'm playing golf with your guest, and you're playing golf with my guest. And we're going together as a foursome out there and playing golf. And then we go early in the morning, we play 18 holes, and we finish with lunch. And so either way, it's always a half a day. I feel a half a day is enough for anybody.
Sure. Right.
And the theory is, if you spent that much time with someone, you will know, positive or negative, if you like that person or don't like that person. If you maybe, let's see if we can work it together or not work together.
Right, for sure.
Yeah. And if you're not a golfer, we just cut out the golf. We do a private meeting, we have a cup of coffee or breakfast, and when you come, you don't come for golf, you come when golf is over for cocktails and dinner at the clubs. So my theory is I don't want to tell you what to do. You tell me what you want to do, and do what, it's like a menu. Tell me how you want to work, and we'll work with you. And like I said, the most important thing is we all like each other. If we don't like each other, we shouldn't be together. Because a lot of times people join groups just because they want that business. They want to know who's in the room because they want to sell everyone in that room with their services. Like, that's not the people we want.
So what was it like when you said there was a time where I was thinking I'd like to take this worldwide and I want there to be chapter here, then you go anywhere? Did you take some steps in that direction and start?
Yeah. So back in 2008, we franchised our business model. We were actually franchised in, I believe it was 22 states in the United States. We actually had interest from 5 different people who wanted to give us who actually wrote checks for us to buy franchises. One person actually wanted to buy the whole state of Florida. They wanted the rights to the whole state of Florida because they wanted to have multiple chapters in the state of Florida.
Sure.
And the financial crisis hit us in 2009. So we lost over 100 members. At that time, we had a chapter in Westchester, New York, as well as New Jersey. And we lost over 100 members in 2009. So I literally closed the whole system down, and I gave back all those checks to people who wanted to buy franchises and said, this is not the right time to start this program and get this thing, really evolve this thing. And we closed down for 4 years because the market was just not right for people to spend money and go out and play golf and do business that way, because people were struggling just to even keep their businesses open. The small businesses were barely surviving, and the big businesses were like, their budgets were very lean and mean. And so the only people actually who I had were the mid-sized companies. They had both the budget and the time, and they were willing to do it, but they weren't enough people to make the whole system survive. So I only went back to the program because people said to me, we love that and we want that. And I kind of fell into a typecast, kind of like George Costanza on Seinfeld, where, if you see Jason Alexander, you're thinking George. It was like, no matter what I did, people said, that's the golf guy. And I couldn't get out of that stigma. So I was like, why am I fighting it? Let me just go back to it and do it again.
And so then started back up, and now
we started back up again. We built it up. We have a solid group of people again. A lot of the old people did not come back because they retired or they moved on or whatever it was. And we had about maybe 10 or 20% of the people who came back, but we had a lot of new people. And as I said, the program evolved, because when I started this program, we didn't even have smartphones back then. You have to imagine what happened 22 years ago and what we have today. So people were willing to take the whole day off back then. Now, no one can take a whole day off. Half a day is all they can handle. So I evolved from an 18-hole program to a 9-hole program. I evolved from semi-private clubs to private country clubs. And I also evolved from the fact that the price point because of the fact that everything's more expensive and more elaborate in terms of what we do for our people, the people in the room are just that much more, they have the ability to work that much better with the people in the room because they have money. When you deal with a group where everyone's very price sensitive and they're worried about paying for their bills, they're very unlikely to spend a lot of money also with the other members because they don't have a lot of money.
Sure.
But when you have more money and you're willing to spend more money, chances are everyone's going to do better for being with that kind of people.
Right. Yesterday, I was journaling in the morning and I was thinking about the idea of a growth business or a lifestyle business. And we hear that distinction sometimes. And you clearly have a lifestyle business. And sometimes there's this like, oh, you have a lifestyle business. And what I've been thinking, what I was writing about yesterday and thinking about is there's a lot of clients I work with, Dan, a lot of these business owners, they have a lifestyle business and they have a great lifestyle and they tend to like have this beautiful integrated family business hobbies things that they do, and I think we should like celebrate that. It's not like a bad thing.
Wayne, you know what, the more, I shouldn't say the older you get, but the more mature you get, that's really the words you want to say. The more mature you get, the more you realize life is not, again, not promised to anyone in terms of your future. You should enjoy life as much as you can. You should be happy you're alive and do what you really love doing, because that's what life's about. Life is all about the pursuit of happiness and being happy and being with the people you like.
Yeah, and for some people, if they want to do the startup thing and try to get Series A and all that, that's great.
100%. Listen, money buys people a lot of, I wouldn't say happiness, but buys them security. It buys them the opportunities to do things they couldn't do without that money, right?
For sure.
But it doesn't buy happiness by itself. So money itself is not going to be the answer to anybody in terms of being happy. It's just, you need to know what makes you happy. And that's the secret of life, is knowing what makes you happy. Once you know what makes you happy, you know what life's all about.
Do you got time for one more question?
Sure.
So I show you the picture of the people at the hunting lodge, right?
Yes.
And I like to do that. Do you have any advice growing a business or finding people who would want to go do that?
Yes. If I was in your shoes, because again, don't forget, before I was doing this, I used to run sales and marketing for other companies and help them grow their businesses, right? So what I used to always do with them is write a business plan and a marketing plan before I even would start working with them, to make sure that we're on the same page of what do they want and how do they want to grow their company, so that I know that either I can or I can't help them, because if they want something I can't do, well, why start the process, right? But on the same token, I want to make sure that everyone in that company is on the same page and that we all want this to be where we want to go, right? So we're not fighting along the way to get to where we want to be, right? So with that said, if you want to grow that, what I would call it is a club, you know, you're starting off as a club and you're going to eventually make it into a business, is you gotta, and that's kind of how I started, and it's the way I would recommend anyone start in this kind of a business, is you first want to do what I call a guerrilla marketing survey, where you survey the people that you think are the likely people you want to get involved with doing this with you. And by doing that, you're going to get a lot of feedback from them. Oh, I really want to do this, and I want to do that, and now you're going to get an understanding of what people actually want. By doing that, I always say, don't do what you want, do what your people want, because your people are the ones who are your customers, not you. Now, if the people want something you don't want to do, it's your choice to not do it, of course. But assuming that it's something you also want to do, now you're going to be, your likelihood of success is a lot higher than you trying something without their feedback, right? So that's the first step, is to get that survey out there with the people you really want to work with, and qualify if you can put together what they want, and make sure that the costs and the profit and the financials behind whatever you're going to do is going to be worth your while to do. Because if it's not worth your while, don't start the process. Otherwise, you're wasting your time.
Yeah.
And assuming everything works in order and the financials are all make sense and people want to do this and you got the right people, then just start. You don't have to worry about getting 1 million people right away. Just start with 5 people or 10 people or whatever you want to do, and let them bring their friends out, and they'll say, this is great, you should be doing this with us, and let it grow by itself.
That saying a club, I don't know why, I hadn't really thought of it that way, but that's it. Like a club, like there's, go through LinkedIn, there are, with all those people on there, there's a certain subset that if I showed them that picture and said, hey, we went to this place and we all had coffee and good food and we went hunting and then we talked about business, they would say, wow, I'd like to join that club.
Yes.
Right.
That's what it is. So and you could turn it from a club into a business, though, Because a club is something which is very casual, very like, oh, it's, we're just getting together kind of thing. If you want to make it a true business, then what you have to have a little bit more meaning behind it. There's got to be more than just people randomly getting together and doing whatever you're doing. You got to have a process in place that people know I'm joining for this reason. I'm going to get this out of it, that kind of thing.
Well, I did. So this is the second time I've done a hunting trip like this. One time it was upstate New York, and then this one in South Carolina. And I've struggled with the idea, like I paid the lodge owner $1,100 a person, right? And I've struggled with the idea, like, would it be okay to charge people more than
100%.
what I paid him?
You're doing the work to to make it happen.
Well, I got over that this last trip because I drove and stayed overnight on the way driving down there. And the night I stayed over, I went for a pretty long run in the morning, and it hit me while I was running. I was like, shit, like, the people I've gathered up on this trip, I know they're going to love each other.
Yeah.
Like, there's no assholes. Like, I've vetted everybody, and I've met all these people over the course of 10.5 years. It's because I was doing business coaching, and I've filtered through all these people I've done coaching with over the years to come with a group that I would invite to something like this.
Yes.
Finding people, connecting them, putting them in the right place has value, which is what you're doing.
It has a lot of value. Now, the issue comes down to is you just don't want to be too greedy. Otherwise, people will be like,
Sure.
But you deserve a margin. The question is, a reasonable margin.
I've worked through, and I guess, you're bringing up, that's a thing that's out there through. And I think I've worked through that part of it. Is that is a lifestyle business okay? Yes. If I were to believe everything I see on social media, I would think I'm a loser because I'm not charging like big money. And that's not true at all.
It's not true at all. And quite honestly, a lot of people lie on social media. So you don't even know what's true and what's not true.
Right. Rented jets.
And the reason they lie on social media is because they assume that, if I show that I'm so successful and so great, they're all going to want to be with me or be like me, right?
Yeah.
But the reality is you got to be, the only person you have to please is yourself. The only person you have to impress is yourself. Don't worry about anybody else.
Man, thanks for spending this time with me. Like, I really enjoyed you, and this was fun.
Yeah, my pleasure.
Thank you for tuning into the Business Builder Way podcast. If this episode spoke to you, click that subscribe button and share it with a friend. That's how this message gets out into the world. If it is helpful for us to have a short conversation, I'd love to do that. Send me an email at wayne@businessbuildercamp.com.